I'm not comfortable in the male version of myself. My mental health has been the hardest I've ever experienced. It's been a very hard roller coaster. I decided I'm going to transition. It will be everything you ever wanted to know about lives of trans women. Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Trans Crash podcast. I'm so excited. I actually can't believe this is the first episode of my own podcast, and I am saying the words welcome to my podcast. It's so surreal. And I'm so excited that you're listening and that you are interested in listening to this topic. So let's talk about what Trans Crash podcast is about. I started this podcast, or I've been playing with this idea to start this podcast because I've realized in my own experience as well, there is so many men who like trans women, and there is so many men who are attracted to us. Yet there is not enough education, not enough resources, not enough representation for these men. So they don't know what kind of questions to ask. They don't know where to find us. They don't know pretty much anything. And they don't really know where to go for the information like that. And while there are so many podcasts and YouTube channels about trans dating, and there are a few episodes about trans dating and trans lives, there is not a specific podcast that would complete everything and cover all the aspects of trans dating, their stories, men who date trans women on the podcast. And I've decided that I want to use my platform and to create a podcast that would be included for everyone that is dating trans women, that would include trans women like us, that would cover all the necessary information about trans dating, and also give you a little bit of spicy stories and give you a little bit of juicy, sexy details from dating trans women as well. But first, before we start, I would like to share something about myself. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me, some of you see me for the first time. So let me introduce myself very quick, and then we can dive straight in. My name is Pavi. I'm a 30-year-old trans woman. I was born in Czechia, or Czech Republic. I've lived in Australia for 3 years. At the age of 19, I moved to Sydney, and I lived there for 3 years. And I've been living in London past 8 years. I've been living as a trans woman past 7 years. I started transitioning at the age of 21, medically transitioning at the age of 22. And this was my second coming out in my lifetime, because my first coming out was when I was 19, and I said to the world and to my family that I like men. And then it was 3 years later when I decided that I'm not comfortable in the male version of myself, in the male body, in the male expression of myself. So I decided I'm going to transition. So I've been living experience of a trans woman the past 7-8 years. And it's been a very hard roller coaster, hard journey. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I've made this podcast because I really want to be brutally honest about everything. And I don't want to fake anything and make some stories that it's been so easy and it's nothing and stuff like that. So it has been hard. My mental health has been the hardest I've ever experienced. I didn't even know what anxiety or depression was before I transitioned. So the mental health aspect of my transition has been incredibly hard. The dating's been incredibly hard as well. Self-acceptance been incredibly hard as well. Dealing with the environment, the world, the hate, it's also been incredibly hard and challenging. The reason why I created this podcast is I don't have to be alone for all of this. I don't have to talk about my struggles on an everyday basis just with my therapist or my close friends. But I can talk about this vulnerably, openly with you all because I know how many people I can help. Not only trans people, not only men and people who date trans women, but also people who are interested in our stories, people who are allies, people who are curious, and they might help other people in the future to make our lives better and easier and more valuable, and help other people to live brighter, more colorful, and safer life. That's the reason why I've made this podcast, what I want to achieve in the future. There is so much that I want to talk about, and there is so much I want to cover, and so many topics I want to get under. And I'm so excited because there will be so many topics, so many episodes, so many guests. It will be everything you ever wanted to know about lives of trans women. So what can you listen to and what can you see in the upcoming episodes? So I will be talking about trans issues, trans dating, and I'm going to be here alone, and sometimes I'm going to have amazing guests on this podcast. I'm going to have my trans sisters here, and also I'm going to have guys who identify as gynosexuals, and we're going to talk about what gynosexual means. We're going to have men who are pansexuals. We're going to have men who identify as straight men. We will have so many guests that will represent each and every one of you and make your life and dating accessible and easier so you can navigate your own personal life and dating as well. Now, what platforms you can find us on? The main platform is our YouTube channel, Trans Crush Podcast. And also we're going to have audio version on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And if you are interested in the spicy, juicy stories with, sexy topics and taboos and 18 plus content, you can also go on Patreon, where we have the most exclusive content, juicy stories, spicy gossips, and I'm so excited for this one because it will be something that everyone is talking about, or everyone is thinking of, but no one is kind of brave enough to talk about or to share it. And I'm really excited to break the taboos, and I'm really excited to, break the stigma and create this free, open space for all of you. So, new episode will come out every single Thursday, and please don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where you will see all the trailers and short videos that will make you really excited for the upcoming episodes. I think that's all I wanted to cover for the first episode. I'm so excited to be here to share all my stories and stories of my guests with you. I'm so grateful that you're listening. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. It's so important. Every single one of you is so important because we can create something beautiful, magical. We can create a beautiful big community, and we can feel like we are not alone, and we are in this beautiful, fun world together. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to leave you with a slogan: so much realness that will make you blush, every Thursday on Trans Crash. See you next Thursday.